yeah, I just didn't have an interest in trading before. I knew what it was roughly, but I just didn't have an interest. And even though the EAs that got me involved didn't live up to what they were, I could see the potential behind trading itself. So I tried various different EAs, and then I wandered off and learned to trade manually, and that was all starting to come good. And I've done quite a few different things over the years, but now I'm sort of, it was funny. I started with using EAs because I didn't want to manually trade. I found out that the EAs didn't really work. So I learned to manually trade. And just as I got good at manually trading and passed an FTMO challenge manually, then I find a software that does work. So now I'm back using EAs again, full circle.
That's the biggest thing with the EAs. It gives you your time back, you know, and that was my biggest, that was one of my biggest things was learning to walk away from the charts, you know, trust what you see, trade higher time frames, trust what you see, and not babysit those charts all the time, you know.
It's hard to, because
yeah,
and I know what you mean. That's my biggest weakness as a trader too.
It's an obsession.
It becomes an obsession because you can have a very good chance, you know what you're doing, have a very good chance of making money pretty much whenever you're in front of a chart. Yeah. That's how it feels anyway, especially if you have a good run, feels you can't lose. I'm going to make some more. This is going so good. Or if you lose some, well, I'm just going to make that back and then I'll stop, you know, so you never actually end up stopping. So
and then it becomes a poker machine.
No, we're talking about us traders, not you, Des. But yeah, that's another thing. If for those that haven't done a lot of trading, if trading ever feels like a complete gamble, then you're doing it wrong. You need to learn more, or you need to be more disciplined. If you ever find yourself just sitting there looking at that chart, come on, turn, you've done it wrong already. There should always be an option. You should already have, you know, your stop losses, take profits set, say your risk to rewards already set, follows your plan. If you lose that trade, that should not upset you the least, because as a trader, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. Obviously, you want to win more than you lose, but having a trade hit its stop loss is all part of the process. So if your trade hits its stop loss and that really upsets you, or you've lost more than you're comfortable with, then you don't have a proper trade plan. You're risking too much, or your plan's not working because you're losing too many in a row. But whatever, if hitting the stop loss is a really bad thing for you, then you need to reevaluate how you're doing it, really.
Yeah, and I write all my stuff down. When I take a trade, I write down why I'm taking it, what I feel like, and I write all of it down. That way it's in writing in front of me and stuff. And, you know, if I do get that, that has taught me to stick with what my thoughts was, you know.
Sure.
I had to do that to learn it, because, you know, before, you know, it was emotional, you know. I click it, and you know how it is, you know, every trader that's done anything manually, as soon as you take the trade, it automatically goes the wrong way. Just as soon as you click that button, it automatically goes the wrong way. And then you're sitting there going, yeah, there it goes, going away from me. And you're sitting there watching it. So I write my stuff down, and that's basically my commit criteria. Why I took it, what I'm seeing on the charts and stuff. And, you know, take profit, stop loss, everything's already set. And once I got it wrote down, it's like it releases it from my mind, and I can walk away. I'm done then. You know, this is what I believe, and, you know, if it does, it does. If it don't, it don't.
Exactly. If it fits your criteria for a successful entry, you followed your plan, you put it in, you let it play out. As long as it does that, then, you know, some will play out, some won't. But I had to have a journal like you're talking about for a long time, and it pinpointed exactly what I do wrong, because almost every single trade was for one of two reasons, you know, mostly because I was FOMOing in, or, you know, I was trying to preempt what I thought the market was going to do instead of waiting for the market to tell me. One of those couple of things, or a combination of both. Almost every losing trade was because of that. It still took me a long time to stop doing it, but at least I knew what the problem was and I could start working on it.
I've been trading about 10 years. That's what I've been trading. And the Forex that's kind of what got me, and not Forex, but crypto. That's kind of what got me back into it, is because of the volatility in the crypto. I mean, you know, it's kind of like Wild West, but you know, you make money quick with it. You know, it's more like trading that 15-minute chart and stuff all the time.
When it comes to trading, and when I'm talking about leverage trading, whether it's Forex or crypto or whatever, it's pretty much all the same, really, as far as, you know, the general analysis goes and how the markets move. But crypto is more volatile, of course, but you tend to use, you know, smaller leverage anyway. Yeah, so I don't have a favorite. Crypto, Forex, indices, whatever. I think it's just important not to. One of my first ever trading courses I ever did, they used to tell us to do 10 different charts every day so you could learn what you're doing. And I've since decided that no, you just want to stick with 2 or 3 and get to know them really, really well, because there's always opportunities there. It's, you know, you can't spread your time over, you know, 10 or a dozen charts every day. You know, some weeks I will look at nothing except just one chart, or 2 or 3 is sort of the maximum for me, and what I can get out of that I take. Hopefully, if there's nothing there, I don't even place a trade. But anyway, I guess as soon as I said I'd talk about this EA and go through a few things, I should do that. Did anyone have any questions sort of about Avoria or about the MMT EA or about any prop firms? Any questions? I'll sort of take some questions first, and that might help me decide what to talk about.
So you're saying there's no bronze pass now, is there? It's only gold and silver?
Yes, sort of. People that were in before, if they go, yeah, basically it's got to be silver, gold or bronze, silver, gold or platinum, which gives you access to 2, 3 or 4 different products at any one time. If you've been involved before, there is a way to get bronze, but it's not generally available, no. But if anybody wants to look at how to possibly get bronze, especially if they've been involved before, then we can probably talk about that.
Is there a big enough price? Like, is it a lot cheaper to just get the bronze and the silver?
Actually, not really sure what they're charging for bronze at the moment, because it's not.
It was 150.
Yeah, it's not on their website anymore. It's not in any of their marketing material anymore, because what they found was people were coming in with very little funds, purchasing bronze, and just with no experience, just putting an EA on a chart and not getting involved in their live trade rooms, and therefore not even doing any of the free education or anything like that. And that was sort of adding to, you know, you want to know a little bit about it, even if you're hoping the EA is going to do the bulk of the work. So I think, 1, they wanted us to give them more money, and 2, they had a sort of a less greedy reason for that, and that was to make sure that, you know, we had an extra product doing nothing. I mean, personally, I've just made mine and it the same EA again, but they would get involved in some of the more educational side of it as well and start to learn. And I know one person that reactivated a bronze, but she did previously have a bronze subscription, and she had to go through support, and support got a hold of me, and yeah, it was a bit of a convoluted process, but she still managed to just reactivate the bronze subscription. But I don't know a lot about it, even though we just did that. But if yeah, so, and sort of what support said was, you know, it's not in the marketing material, it's not on our website anymore. But if there's somebody that's had a previous bronze subscription and they, you know, really that extra few dollars is going to make or break their decision to join, then we can organise a bronze. That's the way they mentioned it anyway. So.
Okay. I mean, it still doesn't get you around the initial cost, which is more than your first month's membership? Like you got to repurchase the VPS or something, don't you?
No, so the only difference between the first month and success, following months is that they have an $80, I don't call it an activation fee, or it gives you lifetime access to the website and all the actual Forex trading education. So just the basic, technical analysis education that they've got. The other education, like the live trade rooms, that's part of you've got to have the subscription for that. But so that's an extra $80 the first month. That's the only real difference. What's really, really good actually, and like if you sort of followed along and you know that this is working and you just want to get in and get involved, then just do it. But if you know people that, they're not sure, they're not really closely tied into our community and they don't know if it's working yet or not, and they don't want to spend hundreds of dollars just to see, then what they can do is they can join for free and they can purchase a 14-day access pass, which will only cost them $30. And they can run, with that 14-day access pass, they can select one of the EAs and they can put it on a trading account, like a demo account or a live account, whatever, and just run it for 2 weeks to see how it works. And for $30, that's extremely cheap. So, I didn't bother with that. Most people I know didn't bother with that. They just jumped in, start making, the only, it's good because you can get your foot in the door and have a look, use something for 2 weeks, and it only costs $30, so next to nothing. The only slight downside is that, so when you get your 14-day access pass, that you'll get a VPS with that just for 2 weeks. And so you have to log into that VPS and then access your trading account and get it all set up and running. At the end of that access pass 2 weeks, then you'll have to get a silver subscription, and then that'll come with a new VPS. So you'll just have to do the whole setup procedure again. Not that the setup procedure is too hard, but that's how it is.
More to do.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask, if they just rolled you over or not, or if you had to go through the whole process again.
You got to go through the whole process again. And probably part of that reason is so they don't want everybody to use a two-week access pass, because they're not really getting anything out of it. Like the VPS for a month costs them $30 anyway. They don't make any money out of our VPSs because it's quite a large VPS. So, they don't really make much out of a $30 2-week access pass. There's no commissions paid on that either. So, they want to get more money out of you. So they don't want it to make it too easy, but it is a handy tool for sure. If you know people that, not real sure about it. I've used an EA before, but I lost money or something like that. You can say, hey, look, you can even say, look, I'll buy you a $30 14-day access pass, and you can run it, see how it goes. Because there are a lot of people out there that have used EAs and had a less than perfect experience, or just downright bad experience, So a lot of them can probably hear the term EA software or bot and go, no, I don't want anything to do with that, because I was in a company 5 years ago and I tried that and I lost my money. And I guess I was probably in a similar position not that long ago. I'd sort of given up trying to find the holy grail of the trading software that could consistently make money. So for people like that, tell them they can just pay $30, or if you're willing to yourself, you can buy them a $30 pass and they can have a run with it. And other than that, get them tied into our community where they can see everyone's results. That's a big thing too, Like I know I would be the same way if someone told me, oh, I've got this software that's working really well. I'd want to see results. And I'm not talking about 1 week or 1 month results. I'm talking about 6 months or a year's worth of results, because a lot of EAs can work extremely well for a few months. A lot of them are martingale type setups as well. For those that don't know what a martingale strategy is, it simply means it'll take out a small size trade, and if the market goes the wrong way, it'll open up a larger trade and a larger trade and a larger trade. And when the market turns, it doesn't have to move too far, and you can close out that whole set of trades and make profit. Martingale strategies can be very profitable, but if the market trends too far for too long, you tend to blow all your profit, if not more. So it's generally considered, and this is definitely my opinion, that any strategy that is mostly a martingale strategy isn't going to be any good long term. Good in a ranging market, can't handle any trending either way. So if you're looking, this is just for people that are looking at different softwares from wherever, and a lot of Avoria Prime's other softwares are martingale type strategies. So I'm not just saying Avoria Prime's got everything good and everyone's got everything bad, but it's really just MMT that I'm sort of promoting, really. But if you don't know, if you've got a software and if it's in the settings somewhere, if it's got like it's got a setting that you can enter for the minimum starting trade size, and then there's another setting for the largest size trade it can take out, then you can bet that that's at least partially a martingale strategy, because it's going to start with a small trade and end up taking out a large trade if need be. So if you see a software like that, or you're using a software like that, I'm not saying don't use it, but be aware that it could very well work really nicely for a month, 2 months, 3 months, and then it could go south on you. You can end up losing all the profit you've made, if not more.
My last experience with that style of software didn't end well. But also I had a choice, but it was like one choice after a 3-week consolidation. If I'd closed it out before I went to bed, I would have made money, but I didn't. It turned around and woke up in the morning with a 50% loss of the whole account that quickly.
So when you're talking about, it doesn't matter whether it's an EA, a software bot, or just a manual trading strategy, it has to be consistent long term. And I'm not saying you're going to make a heap of money every single week or whatever, but it needs to be that if you don't want to ever have a strategy that's going to slowly get you into more and more and more drawdown. And that's definitely what can happen with some sort of a martingale strategy. So you need to avoid that. With the MMT software, it'll just place between 1 and 5 trades, and once they're all done and dusted, then it'll move on to look for new opportunities. So you never get into a situation where you're in a lot of drawdown, where you have a lot of trades open and you can't close them out. Generally, I run with settings with MMT where it doesn't trade Friday. So generally any trades opened on Thursday all end up closed during Friday anyway, and they never open up anymore. There is, of course, the potential that trades could open up Thursday and then there's very little market movement on the Friday, so those trades don't close one way or the other. I haven't had that situation yet, but it's probably a good idea to close them out so you're not carrying them over the weekend just because of the gapping that you can get over the weekend. Where the market closes on Friday, it could open on Monday significantly different. Talking Aussie times here, if you're open with Teddy, then it's closing on Sunday night and opening on Monday night. We're just sort of 14 hours different here. Sorry?
I got a question for you. Now, when we adjusted that time frame on that EA of Avoria's, now it paid dividends, I reckon.
Sorry?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. When we adjusted the time frame on Avoria, it certainly paid dividends. There was no losses. They're all winning, all successful trades, a whole lot.
Yeah. So what Barry's talking about is one of the settings of the MMT software. You can designate what time each day that it trades. And the default setting, if you just drag the software onto a chart, it's already going to have what the developer recommends. And that's from 230 hours to 1700 hours GST time, which is basically just the London and the New York session, which most traders would generally say is the best time to be trading for most Forex and industry type stuff, because that's when there's more traders in the market, more money being moved around. So you get more movement, there's more volatility, but not only more, it tends to be more certain in one way or the other.
Yeah,
When
absolutely no losses at all. There's none.
Yeah, well, you were only trading for 2 days before you hit your target of 10%. Like Barry last week had his software set to stop trading if it made 10%. And by, I think it was by Wednesday morning, so 2.5 days trading, it had not only hit 10%, but ended up closing the last 2 trades out in more profit, and he made 11.5% for the week.
Yeah.
For half a week, basically. So
yeah, quicker you can get out, the safer you are.
Yeah, they do recommend, or Nate and other guys using it, not to trade Fridays. And from what I've seen, that's a very good recommendation. In their main chat group, I've seen a lot of people talking about taking losses on Fridays and everything. And I have been trading Fridays, but I've been keeping a close eye on it and not trading while I'm sleeping Friday night or anything like that. And I have seen, personally saw more losing trades on Friday than any other day of the week as well. But every week's different. But for me personally, last week I made 13% profit. Barry made 11.5% profit. Anna down there, I'm talking about everybody, so sorry if I'm singling you out and you don't want to be famous, but she hit her 10% target Wednesday morning as well. So pretty much everyone last week by early Wednesday had made at least 10% profit, which is, most people have their goal set at, their profit protector setting at 10%. So, and then they're done for the day. And the week before that, we won't talk about Barry because he only turned on halfway through the week, so he didn't make very much. But Barry's brother and nephew, is Garrett your nephew?
Yeah.
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 They both made 10% by Tuesday night. I personally had 10% by Tuesday night. I was still testing it out a fair bit though, so I left mine running. They let theirs stop at 10%, and I just left mine running. It got up to 11.4% by Wednesday night. It dropped all the way back to a bit under 8%, and then late Friday afternoon, I got back to 10%. So,
the other thing though, Les, I found that I can't close a trade out on the phone. Will the EA not allow that?
No, you should have no trouble closing it out on the phone.
Yeah, I tried and it wouldn't do it.
No worries. Well, we'll have a chat about that next time you're home and see what's going on there. But
yeah,
it should. You've closed out other trades and other trading accounts from your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know how to do it. So
I know how to do it, but it just didn't seem to do it at all.
And the EA definitely won't stop you closing out a trade.
No, I don't think it would.
Don't know. Have another play.
I reckon it's the best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, everybody does, me included. I will caution though that just because I've had over 10% and most of us have had over 10% for the last 2 weeks in a row, don't go expecting, definitely don't go expecting that. Don't even probably hope for that. 10% is just a ridiculous amount to be making every week. Just to put that in perspective, I won't bother bringing up a compound calculator, but you can do that yourself to check my figures. But if you start with a $10,000 account and you just average 5% per week and you compound that for 3 years, you've made well over $2 million.
Yeah.
So my point being, even 5% per week is a huge result. So you got to, and this is part of the EA is doing all the bulk of the work, but you still got to have a little bit of trading psychology and not get greedy. Because sure, the software does what it's told and everything, but you can still get greedy. You can start hoping for 10% every week. I mean, I've only, made 10% 2 weeks in a row. I'm already having trouble not hoping for that. That's a dangerous position to be in. So be aware of that. And I guarantee you, and this isn't anything bad against the software. This isn't like all the promotional stuff I've heard it's you're never going to hear any really bad stuff about anything when they're promoting it. But except for me, I like to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Just coming from a trading background myself, I would say, there'll definitely be weeks where you lose money with the software. Okay, because there's not a manual trader out there that has never had a losing week. So it's just not possible. Sometimes using the software, even if you're the best trader in the world, there will be weeks when you take a loss. The beauty of the software is it's very easy to keep that loss at a minimum via the different settings. Because you can't get into big drawdown, and you can set a daily and a weekly loss, so they call that the equity protection setting. You've got a daily equity protection setting and a weekly equity protection setting. So you can minimize that loss. And here's a really good thing. You'll like this one, Teddy. I have discovered that, both the equity protection setting and the profit protection settings, if you hit that goal, the software stops trading for the, let's talk about the weekly one. If you hit your profit or your equity, wouldn't call the equity goal a goal, but if it stops from either of those, it stops trading for the rest of the week. You can't trick it into starting again. Even if you remove the EA from the chart and you put it back on, it still must double check with the information in the experts tab on the MT4 itself, and it won't start again. I have given that a bit of a test. So that's good, because that sometimes if you make your profit, if you make 10%, 24 hours into the week, it's only human nature to want to do a little bit more, because you got 4 more days. Surely I can make a little bit more money. So it's good that you can't, because that is also dangerous territory, because that's human greed, one of the trading emotions that we don't want. And likewise, if you hit your equity protection setting halfway or early on in the week, you want to try and make that money back. That's human nature. That's what they call revenge trading. Also another dangerous mind frame to be in. So with this software, it won't allow you to do that. So I think that's a good thing.
So you can't switch it back on, Liz. Once it's off, it's off.
Yep. You decide what you want those settings to be at the start of the week or prior to that, like about now, and let it do its thing. You either make your profit or you make your loss, and then you wait till the next week.
Yeah.
But everybody's got a different financial situation, a different trading background, a different sort of risk tolerance. So it's not really my place to try and tell you what you should or you shouldn't do as far as that goes. But I've sort of been anybody that's new, and I've been helping them set up their software. We've been putting a 10% profit goal into the settings. Mostly that's because it's been doing that, so, but that's probably very, very greedy, really. I wouldn't go any more than, I did. I went to 12% last week, but that was only on a very small account as well. It's a larger account this week, so I won't be doing that. And if you ever find yourself getting greedy, and this is what I like to do, dig out a compound calculator and have a look. If you make 10% for the week and you're thinking about trying to do some more trading and make more, have a look at what 10% a week can do for you in just 1 year. It's way more than 5% can do in 3 years. So it's huge money. So you want to be, trading needs to be a marathon. You don't want to, it's very tempting because you can make a lot of money quick. So sometimes it's hard not to think about, I can get rich really quick. I can, I can make so much money in 2 months, Sure, you can, but then you can also lose a lot of money in 2 months as well. So you want to try and make it a marathon. Just you know, that, as I said, 5% per week is huge, and just aim to do that. I mean, it's fine for the moment to aim for more. I'm going to keep aiming for 10 just for the moment. If I don't make it, that's fine. But and we'll just see how it's, because I'm also still pretty new to this software and I'm still trying to test it out, you know. So I'm not, a lot of my settings on my own personal account aren't because I think that's the best settings. It's because I'm trying to stress test the software as well. I'm trying to push it. I'm trying to work it hard and see where its faults are. You know, see how greedy you can get before it becomes a problem. I'm trying to do all that as well. And I've just been doing that on a $1,000 account. Now that I've got more money in that account, I'll probably start to take it a little bit easier. Now, one thing just before I forget, because I really want to talk about this little part of the software. Let me just share my screen here so I can bring up the settings. What did I do? Share. Get that out of the way. There. Just wanted to bring up the settings here. I won't go all through the settings one by one or anything here tonight because they've got videos on that and everything. But we've got the risk per trade, and you can see you can choose between 0.1 and 1% per trade. The software can open up to 5 trades at any one time. So if you have a 1% per trade, that means that you could get into 5% drawdown just before you hit the stop losses and you took a 5% loss. Now we also have a daily equity protector. Now, just hang on a second, guys. Back to recording. Okay, so where was I? So the risk per trade on that setting, you could take a 5% loss at one time. It doesn't always open up 5 trades though, so very rarely does it ever have a full 5 open, but potentially you could take a 5% drawdown and then a 5% loss. Then we have the daily equity protector. I have mine set at 3%.
What's mine set at, Les?
Yours is probably might be at 5, I think. You might want to adjust it, but this is what I want to go through because, you know, since I set you up, I've learned a bit more as well. Now, what some people did have, or a lot of people probably do have, is let's say they have 5% set for their daily equity protector. And they're probably thinking 5% is the maximum I can lose at any one time. It turns out that's not true. And this is why. So you could, let's say it opened up 4 trades on a 1% per trade, and all those trades hit their stop loss. You're now down 4%. Then the software could open up another 5 trades. Because at the moment you're only, you know, at the moment you've lost 4%, so you still haven't activated the daily equity, the daily loss protector, because it only activates at 5. So what happens if you get to 5% loss or 5% drawdown for the day, it's going to stop opening up new trades. It won't close any already open trades. It'll just stop opening up new ones. So if you took a 4% loss, the software could still open up another 5 trades. And if those 5 trades all hit their stop loss, you'd now be at a 9% loss. So that's fine. I don't mind that. You just need to be aware of that so that you can adjust your settings to suit. And that's why I have mine at 3%. And we're going to get on to talking about prop firms a little bit too, because that's a fairly exciting part of what this EA can do. With prop firms, most of them anyway, you can never take, if you lose more than 5% or get into more than 5% drawdown in any one day, then you fail their challenges or you lose access to the funded account. So it's vital that you keep your daily loss, your daily equity down to no more than or less than 5% loss every day. So even on these settings, I could take a 3 or a 2.9% loss, and then it could open up 5 more trades. That'd be 5% loss. So I'd be 7.9% on these settings. I could potentially take a 7.9% loss for the day. Mind you, I've never seen more than not even 3% drawdown at any stage yet, but it will happen. And I'm just saying, potentially on the settings I have here, I could take a 7.9% loss in one day, which is too much for a prop firm. If I drop this down to 0.5% per trade, I could get down to 2.9% loss, and then it could open up another 5 trades. And if they all hit their loss, that'd be another 2.5. So I'd now be at 5.4% loss. Also too much. So even on these settings, you could fail the prop firm challenge by going into too much drawdown. So to stay safe, you'd have to have it on 0.4 and on 3. And on these settings now, you can't lose more than 5% in any one day. So now you're safe as far as that goes. Now, I'm not saying you have to do, that's the safest way to go and pass a prop firm challenge. This isn't my prop firm account though, but so what the recommended settings are for the time is 02:30, just so everybody knows, to 1700 hours, and that's EST time. So that's the London, New York session. And then you should also have Fridays turned off. Because so that time and Fridays off and having the news filter on, that is the default / recommended settings from the developer. Talking about this 4.4% per trade and 3% loss per day, that will stop you from losing more than 5% per day. So that will keep you within the requirements of prop firms. Nate is doing some webinars soon specifically talking about using it to pass prop firm tests as well. So that'll definitely be worth looking at as well, because obviously he's going to know the software that he built a lot better than I do. So that'll keep you safe from getting into more than 5% drawdown per day. The other thing is you need to make, depending on the prop firm, you need to make either 8% or 10% in a month to pass. The FTMO one, which is sort of the original, the longest lasting, and therefore probably the most trusted one, in my opinion, requires you to make 10% profit for the month. So if I was just starting an FTMO challenge now, I'd put my weekly profit protector at 10%. Why? Because 10% passes. You get no extra bonus points or anything for getting 11, 12 or 13%. So if you can make 10% in a week, job done. You do have to have 10 trading days though, so you'd have to do a couple more trades after you pass to fill in the 10 days, but basically you've passed. Now let's say I've used the software on a prop firm account for 1 week and I made 4% profit. So now I'm coming into my second week on the prop firm. I've already made 4%. I just need to make another 6%. So I'd have my weekly profit protector at 6, because as soon as I get to 6, the challenge is done and completed. You don't want to, you don't want to take any risks by trying to go above 6, because there's no point. You get nothing out of it. You've already passed. You need to stop. So that's sort of the only things that I would adjust during a prop firm challenge.
With dropping that percentage of your risk, you're equally limiting the profit you're going to make that week, aren't you?
Correct. So you do. The way this software works is when it places a trade, it puts a stop loss and a take profit in place straight away. Those take profits and stop losses for those that are traders aren't placed in regards to where market structure is at all. They're just set at a static distance from the trade. It does give a risk to reward ratio of 1 to 1.53 in favour of the profit. Let me find something here. Let me just go back to our Telegram channel here. A lot of people still have trouble finding pinned messages. They're just there. You just click on them.
If you click it again, you go to the next one.
Yeah, so this is that's the 8th pinned message I have there, and that's just talking about what we were just talking about. The 7th one, there's a lot of good stuff there.
Took me a year to learn that.
That's the preferred broker list that Nate put out for using the MMT software. You can use any broker you like, but if you don't already have a broker, you might as well use one of these preferred ones. Another really good one for it, in my opinion, is IC Markets as well. Pepperstone in Australia is an awesome broker, but unless you've got their pro account, you won't get high enough leverage. A couple of quick points to consider when you're trying to pick a broker specifically for this software, though, is because at the moment it only trades on the DAX index, which is also called German 30, German 40. And Forex pairs, they pretty much roll from one day into the next with either no stoppage or only a 5-minute break between one day and the next. With a lot of indices like DAX, there can be a 1 hour layover from one day to the next, or a 2 hour layover from one day to the next. 1 or 2 hours is fine. Some brokers will have 4 or 5 hour layover for some indexes like DAX. So you want to avoid that. The main reason for that.
Watch me, Les. What do you mean? Layovers.
So, you know a bit about Forex trading. So,
Yeah.
7 o'clock
Market
our
close,
time in Australia, the new day starts. And like at 6:59 in the morning, one day stops, and then the next minute, the next day starts.
Right.
So in that situation, there's no layover. But with indices like DAX, let's say, I think with Pepperstone, the market for DAX closes at 6 a.m. our time and reopens at 7 a.m. our time. So that's a 1 hour layover from one day to the next. Some brokers have, a lot of brokers, most brokers will have between 1 hour and a 2 hour layover for DAX, but some brokers will have more. If you're with a broker with more, the software will still work, but for the first half of the day or quarter or third of the day, the start, it may have those couple of hours where it's been closed, there is no data for the software to try and work out the current market trend. So it's not going to have enough data to be able to accurately come up with a trend. So it's more likely to get it wrong. Simple as that. So try and pick a broker with not too much of a layover. The other most important point. Sorry?
Pepperstone performed then, Les.
Yeah, Pepperstone's been great. No problem at all.
Yeah. No
now,
drama.
another point with brokers in general, what you got to look for using this software is what is the minimum lot size that they allow you to take out on the DAX index. Like FTMO, the prop firm, they allow you to take out right down to 0.01, which is the smallest lot size you can take on any Forex trading anyway. So that's awesome. Pepperstone, the minimum lot size is 0.1, so 10 times as big, but also fine. And on Pepperstone with a 0.1 minimum lot size, I can still use the software on a $1,000 account. Some brokers, one that I know of is called CoinX. I don't mind that broker, but on DAX, the minimum lot size is a full 1.0 lot size. which is fine, but the larger the minimum lot size, the larger account balance you'll need to have in order for it to take out the required size trades. So, like I said, with the 0.1 lot size, I can run a $1,000 account. On Pepperstone with a minimum lot size of 1.0, you're going to need at least $10,000 in order to allow for the MT4 to allow you to take out that size trade. And CoinX is fine if you've got a large, more than $10,000 in there, it's going to work fine. But if you're thinking about starting with a smaller account, then you need to make sure your broker allows a smaller lot size. That's probably the main 2 points I think you need to look at when trying to select a broker. I'm just trying to find some info here. I forget where it was. It's probably, let's go to the MMT traders chat. Everybody that's using it should be in this chat as well, and also in the AIMM announcements channel. So that's AIMM is 2 EAs and a couple of indicators that Nate Williams has developed. He's a developer of MMT. So anything that's important, he puts in this announcement channel. It's not a chat, it's just an announcement channel. So you should be in that, and also the traders chat. Now let me just find what I wanted here. This is another little way that the software works. So when the trade gets to 470 pips, so that the take profit is set at 700 pips. If you're used to Forex, don't go thinking that's a huge amount. The pips work differently on the indexes. But so it sets a 700 pip take profit. When it gets into 470 pips of profit, it'll close 30% of the trade, and it will also move the stop loss up. I forget how far up, but it'll bring it up above the entry point so that it's a risk-free trade. And if you hit that stop loss, then you're sort of taking about if you're on a 1% risk, you'll take about a 0.4% profit. And then when the trade gets into 680 pips of profit, so just before the 700 take profit, it'll close out 90% of the trade that's left and just leave that 10% to ride it through to 70. So it uses that, to lock in profit, because, there's nothing worse than the market. This is your take profit, the market getting here and then coming back down, and you miss out altogether, or you end up hitting the stop loss. I mean, any trader's seen that and they reckon that's terrible, of course. So if this is your take profit and the market comes up, when it gets to here, it's going to move the stop loss above the entry point, lock in some profit, and then if it almost makes it to here, it'll close out some more of the trade, lock in some more profit, and then that last bit will either hit take profit or come down and hit the stop loss, which will also be profit. So as long as the trade gets into at least 470 pips of profit, you can't take a loss on it.
Everything it does, it just replicates every trading lesson I've ever seen. It's pretty clever. It's good, eh?
Yeah, I have used a few different softwares over the years that trade with the trend. Don't open up too many trades. You can't get into a lot of drawdown, but they never made much profit. They were, just a bit too light. Like it was still okay and good because it was still profit, but it just wasn't very much. And for me at the time, I got lured back to things that were meant to be better, which were for a while and then they weren't. But this one, you can't, and this is what I like about it, you can't get into a lot of drawdown. You can have the settings to minimize any losses that you do take. And it really does trade just like a manual trader would. I mean, I've seen it take out trades that I sort of scratch my head and go, oh, I probably wouldn't have done that myself. But then again, I'm not the world's best trader either. And And I guess if you are a really good trader, you can keep an eye on the software. If if you're going about your day at home or something, you can keep your chart up and you can keep an eye on it. If it takes out a trade that you're not real sure about, you can either close it out or you can move the stop loss down to the most recent market structure to minimize a potential loss. Because for a good trader, they're probably thinking about using the software just to free up a bit of their time so they don't have to spend as much time in front of the charts. But when they're around and they look at the chart and go, well, that's a dodgy looking trade, maybe I'll adjust that a bit, you could do that. For everybody that's not a good trader, just let it do its thing, because you don't know much yet, so the software knows more than you. A really dangerous sort of part of your trading journey is when you start to learn a little bit. Okay, I know people that know nothing about trading, and they're very, very successful because they just follow. If they've been given a strategy to follow or an indicator to follow or an EA, they do it the way it's recommended, and they do really well. And I'm just going to talk about myself personally. I was probably like that. And then I started to learn a bit about manual trading. So I'd help the EA and take a loss. And then, I'd thinking I know more than the software. And, that definitely wasn't the case back then. And even now that I know a lot more, you still got to be aware that, I'm not perfect. I'm going to make mistakes. And, sure, it's okay to make adjustments on the software if you are actually a decent trader. But if you're not somebody that can regularly make profit trading manually, don't stuff with it. Simple as that.
It's very easy to see what you want to see when you think you know what you're looking at.
What Des is talking about is when you're learning to trade, if you've got a preset, you're already thinking the market's going to be moving up before you even do your chart. Okay. And so you naturally see support where it's not. You naturally see a descending bloody wedge or something like that. You see all these things that are indicating the market's going to go up. So you got to try and, blank your mind out before you chart up a pair and let the chart tell you what's going on. Not because sometimes you could, depending on what time frame you're in, you could make a downward triangle, or you might be able to turn that into a wedge if you're looking at a different time frame. A wedge is going to indicate the market's going to change direction. A downward triangle is a continuation pattern. So just based off some slight differences, it could give you a totally different scenario. So you've got to be careful not to be sort of making it look like you want it to. But anyway, that's getting away from using EAs anyway. Any questions on what I've said there so far? I'll probably, in a minute, I'll go through a little bit on sort of what's involved in getting started with the Warrior Prime as well. I started on that earlier on, but if there's any questions with what I've said so far, speak up. Please do, because then I know what you need to hear.
How successful is it, Les, on these funded accounts?
Okay, I've almost passed the FTMA challenge just using the software. Hoping I'll pass this week coming, but if I don't, it should be the next week. If you go into the MMT Traders chat, the official chat for it, those guys are knocking over funded proper firm accounts left, right, and centre. That's one other thing I wanted to quickly talk about too, was I don't know if I finished talking about it. I was talking about how I'm using FTMO at the moment. That was just my choice. You got to make 10% profit. Another one that the boys that are using MMT are using is called My Forex Funds. It's also a prop firm. You only have to make 8% profit in the first month to pass that, though. Other than that, everything else is sort of roughly similar. My plan personally is to have FTMO and My Forex Funds going. You're more diversified and everything as well. For those that don't know a lot about prop firms yet, there's a lot of different size account you can go for, from 10,000 up to 200,000 is usual for most prop firms. You pay a fee to be evaluated. If you pass their challenges and verification phases, then it's not exactly a funded account, but you become one of their funded traders, so to speak, and you get to keep. And generally, most people are going for at least a $50,000 account. Most people probably $100,000 or a $200,000 account. Once they know what they're doing, and then you're essentially trading a $100,000 account, and you get to keep 70% of the profits. That percentage might vary between prop firms, and you can also, with FTMO, if you've been a profitable trader for 4 months, they'll also put up that percentage for you as well. So a few things can vary, but that's roughly how they work. And that's obviously very attractive for a trader, because not everybody has $100,000. There's a lot of people that are getting pretty good at trading, but they don't, or they've got an EA like this that is good at trading, but they don't have $100,000 to put, to trade on. They've got to start small and work their way up, which just makes the process take longer. But this way you can prove that you've got a good trading strategy, and then you've got, let's say, a $100,000 account to play with, and you're getting to keep 70% of the profits. You say you've got a big account to play with. You're not risking your own funds. If you did blow it and you lost the money, then all you got to do is go back, do the challenge again, and get funded again. Not every prop firm out there allows you to use EA softwares on. FTMO does. My Forex funds does. There are still a couple little hitches when using it on a prop firm, because the prop firms sort of all run through, obviously, just like any broker, they're running through their servers. And even though they allow EA softwares, there's only a certain amount of trades on each different pair that can get open simultaneously. So if you've got thousands of people using the same software, and that software is opening up exactly the same trade at exactly the same time on exactly the same prop firm, that could well overload their server, and not all those trades would be allowed. So that's a little thing to be aware of. Everybody that I'm seeing in them, like Dante Lewis, he's a guy that's doing really, really well with the Warrior Prime. He's a big recruiter, team builder, as well as a good trader himself, and really loving the software. He's been using the MMT software on a My Forex funded account for about 2 months now, since he passed his challenges, and he's just been getting a withdrawal come through every 2 weeks on that. So it's working really well. So it's not going to be a problem until there's a lot of people using it. But even then you can essentially just copy trade. Even though they tell you not to do it, you can have the software on a little private account. When it puts in a sell order, you just put in a sell order on your prop firm. That's a workaround up until then. There are also quite a lot of different prop firms, so we can spread ourselves around a lot of different prop firms as well, if that ever becomes an actual problem,
And like you say, it's at the moment they're only doing the DAX 30, aren't they? But that is about to change.
True. So an update that he's bringing in soon is, at the moment, it only trades on DAX. That's just fine-tuned for DAX. A few different settings that are just to suit DAX. I don't even know exactly what they all are, but the pips are a classic example. On Forex, if the market moves 100 pips or 50 pips, that's a really good profit. On DAX, we were looking for 700 pips, just because pips work differently on indices, and from one indice to another, the pips are going to be different again. If you go and trade Bitcoin, you're going to want to make about 100,000 pips to make a decent profit, because it's a totally different calculation there again. But one of the updates that he's got in mind for some time in the near future is he's bringing in the, I forget what they are now, the S&P and I forget what the other ones are now. But anyway, he's bringing in three 2 or 3 new indices that it's going to work on. A lot of people, for me personally, I don't really mind what I trade. If I'm making money from it, I'm happy to trade that. But a lot of people have, S&P 500, that might be their favorite index they trade. So their preference is going to be to trade that one. Of course, you can trade, if you've just got one version of the software, you can still open up 2 charts and have it. You could have the MMT trading on DAX and on S&P and on the other one they're bringing out as well, all simultaneously. You just have to be aware that, you'd probably want to lower your risk a bit because now you're trading 3 pairs instead of 1, so triple the risk if you didn't change the
All on
settings.
the same account, Les, or different accounts?
All on the same account. It's just like trading
So
Forex.
how would that work with the 3 trades open at once?
There wouldn't matter, except
you
it
could
couldn't matter
be
at all, except that
Countering
it's gonna-
yourself.
it's going to increase your risk, increase your potential drawdown, and you'd want to adjust settings to accordingly. It's no different to, if you're trading Forex, you could USD, JPY, you could have a trade on that. You could have one on Euro US, put another one on another. You could have multiple pairs open and trading all simultaneously. And we've all used softwares before where we've had it trading different pairs simultaneously as well. So no different to that. You just need to lower your risk on each individual pair because combined, essentially, if you're trading 3 pairs on the same risk setting, that would triple your risk, triple your potential drawdown, triple your potential profit too. But one key point that I would like to, for those that don't know much about trading or just learning trading, and most people, if you were to, and you see people promoting various different trading things out there, the number one thing they're promoting is how much profit it makes. Profit is not the most important part of trading. How much risk it incurs, how much it can protect your equity. They are the most important parts of any trading system. Fair enough, making profit's going to come in a close second, but it has to be a safe system first. Otherwise, making a heap of profit out of the gate's fine, but if you're going to lose that next month, then it's not a good system. So safety first, profit second. That's all that matters.
Yeah,
Making money and keeping it.
Also drawdown. If I've seen traders out there saying, I've not took a loss all month long, but they're leaving. They've not closed the trade. That anything that wasn't in profit, they're letting it run just so that they can. I've not lost the trade. I've not lost the trade. But
Put more money in the account.
When I talk about safety, I'm including drawdown. Definitely, you don't want everyone to get into big drawdown. And that's another point that it just reminds me of. You'll see people saying, I have an 80% success rate on my trades. That means nothing if the losses are bigger than your profits. If your stop loss is 100 pips and your take profit is 10 pips, then you need to be making about 90% wins just to break even. With this software, because it puts the take profit at 700 pips and the stop loss at, I think, 470 pips, so it's a 1 to 1.5 risk to reward ratio. If you won 5 trades and then you lost 5 trades, you'd still come out over 2% in profit because the wins are bigger than the losses. So I just mentioned that because if somebody, and they're not lying, they have an 80 or 90% win rate, but that is only a portion of the story. You need to know how much profit that equates to at the end of the day. Because it doesn't matter how many trades you win. It really comes down to how much money you make compared to how much money you lose. That ratio is what's really important.
Also heard Nate, I was on that update call, and he was saying that he's hoping by July 5th, somewhere in there, that he's going to bring out some prop firm settings to where everybody's not going to be taking the exact same trades. It's going to change it around to where it can't be tracked, but everybody's using the same EA is what he was saying.
Yeah. So it's going to be the same EA. It's just going to bring up some updates to help out with the prop firms. And that's one of the things. But
That'll be the different currencies as well.
yeah, but the thing is, like at the moment, the way the software works is if you're using the same, like if I'm using the same broker as you, Teddy, the software is going to take out exactly the same trade at exactly the same time for both of us all the time, and anybody else that's using that same. But if you're using a different broker to me, it will work out slightly differently. And that's just because each broker can have a slightly different price. The chart will be slightly different. That's just because there's different traders on that broker. But also the spread between one broker and the next can vary quite a lot, which will make the market different. So sometimes if we're using different brokers, sometimes the EA will be going, okay, for you, Teddy, I'm telling you this is a sell trend. But for Les, on a different broker, it thinks it's a buy trend. And that's simply because the market, maybe there was sort of support here. And on Teddy's broker, the market just went past it before retracing. So now it thinks that's on a sell trend. But on my broker, it didn't go past that support. So it still thinks it's on a buy trend, which obviously means Teddy's is looking for sell orders. Mine's looking for buy orders. So doing completely different things. Which one works out or who knows, but there can be slight differences like that. And that's, you know, it's not an infallible software. It'll take out trades that hit stop losses, and you can take losses and all of that at times. All I can really tell you is that it is a safe software. Why? Because it can't get into big drawdown, and obviously depending on your settings, you can minimize the amount of loss you take from week to week. I can also tell you that the profits in the last couple of weeks I've been using it have been huge, over 10% per week. What I can't tell you, personally anyway, is how much profit that's going to average out over the next year. Next year, I'll be able to tell you exactly how that turned out. There are a few my FX books and FX Blue links showing the history. There's some back testing results going on as well. Back testing is great, but it really doesn't tell the whole story. And the accounts where the live accounts where they're showing, you know, the MyFX books for, you know, the last 3, 4, 5 months. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. That's good, accurate results. And I don't doubt them. But if you ever have somebody trying to prove their trading results from MyFX books or something like that, it's great, but it doesn't tell the whole story, because you don't know whether that was just the EA doing it. Maybe they did some manual trading in there as well. Maybe they knew more than you do and they made adjustments. But also the software's had quite a few updates since since before it was launched. Even since it's launched, it's had a couple of updates. So those MyFX book results that are going back 5 or 6 months have been on a lot of different settings just because of the updates. You know, it's not the same software it was back then. Hopefully that means it's better now, but it's not 100% accurate. You know, once I have my own personal results for the next 5 or 6 months, I'm going to be sharing them, of course. And then, you know, hopefully, now you guys that know me well, hopefully you trust me as well. So when I share my actual personal results, that will mean a lot to you. If however I share my results with Teddy doesn't know me very well yet. We've only just sort of met. So it wouldn't mean quite as much to him. If I go and share my 6 months results, my FX books with a total stranger, sure, it'll help, but it won't have the same impact as if I share with Des, because me and Des have known each other for a while. We're good friends. So, you know, if I share him something, he knows beyond a doubt that that's exactly the whole truth and nothing but the truth. If I share it with a stranger, well, they don't know me. I could be hyping it up. I could be exaggerating. I could be just downright lying. They don't know. So, you know,
Well, Les,
are the best way of sharing results. So.
I had 37 successful trades and 4 losses.
Last week?
Yep. I reckon it's the best thing since sliced bread.
And that worked out pretty well.
Beats the hell out of sitting in a grader for 12 hours.
Yep, that's it.
That's what I'll be doing again tomorrow.
We see you got the work clothes on there, mate.
Yeah, and yeah, we're both in the kennel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're both at work.
yeah,
How are you, Susie?
Hi, Liz, how are you?
yeah.
We'll shut up and let you go to sleep in a minute.
Yeah, look,
Yeah, we're up at 4:45 in the morning to go to work. So it's a long day.
this is home.
This is home at Donkey Hill. That's it.
Yeah.
Nice. Doesn't have the same woman's touch as it back at home, though.
No, no. You're gonna have to spring a cat if you're lucky. You're gonna hang on to the cat, otherwise you'll get them all.
It's a single room and they whacked a double bed in it. And well, there's no room in here at all. It's pretty.
Just pretend like it's your honeymoon again, mate.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, sure.
It's not exactly the Hilton, but we're not paying for it, so I don't give a rat. So
Exactly, yeah. Means to an end, mate.
yeah.
All right, guys, I'm going to stop this recording because I don't like to make them too long. Then
Yep.
people don't want to watch them. But was there any more quick questions or anything to go through at all?
No, I'm gonna hook up into that challenge when I get home, Liz. But I'll give you a bell as soon as I get
Yeah,
home.
we'll sort that out.
Yeah, good as done. Happy trading.
See you, mate.
Yep.
A quick one for you, Les. Can I
Yep.
get you sometime tomorrow to give us a hand to set up this demo?
For sure.
Any
For
particular,
sure.
any particular
Rod-
type
Rod's
of
got-
thing?
Rod's got a 14-day access pass. He's going to give it a whirl. So as soon as you're up and about tomorrow, mate, let me know and we'll do it as early as possible.
Okay, sounds good.
I'll give
Okay,
you a
So
call
it's
at
always
half
best to
two.
start trading, especially with an EA, at the start of the week. Don't start halfway through the week or something like that. You don't
Yeah.
get an accurate result. Plus, we don't
Sounds
want to be
good.
trading Fridays anyway, so we don't want to miss out on Monday or Tuesday.
I've been trying to follow the videos and things, how to set this up. I've got as far as a VPS and I can't open the bloody thing, so. yeah.
No worries. You're just about there, then it shouldn't take us long at all.
Okay,
Join the club. If it wasn't for Liz, I wouldn't be trading.
yeah, right. Yeah. Anyway, good one, Les. I'll catch you in the morning.
No worries. Catch you later, guys.
Yep.
Okay.
Right.